and Jai Masters. I once gave a talk titled Negating Nagging Needs. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about needs and the evolution of needs, etc. First of all, what are needs? Oh, physiology will give you a description based on evolution and animal traits and so on. Certainly psychology will give you all kinds of explanations of what needs are. Maslow talked about a hierarchy of needs. But what literally are needs? You will get to a point in your growth, if you get quiet enough inside or far enough back inside, that you will see that a need is the blockage in your energy flow. Now, how would you know that? When you have gotten rid of a lot of blockage in your energy flow, the needs go away. When you've pretty much gotten rid of a lot of the blockage in your energy flow, you don't even know what a need is. It wouldn't cross your mind. It wouldn't cross your heart because you're not there. It's sort of like, do you know what hunger is? Yes, if you don't get food, you know what hunger is. If you feed regularly healthy stuff at a regular time, you don't get hungry. It's not there. So hunger is a lack of food. Need is a lack of energy. It's a lack of Shakti. But there's all the different types of needs, and they are all dependent upon where you're blocked. You have physiological needs. Now, there are basic needs, food, clothing, and shelter. You know, your body will freeze to death. There are bodily needs, but they're very basic. And, you know, you don't need a giant house to call shelter. You don't need all kinds of fancy clothes to say food, clothing, right? And food, you don't need to be eating at the finest restaurants, a $300 a plate meal to say, I want to eat. If you haven't noticed yet, it can get pretty simple. I remember back, of course this was back in 71, 72, 73, when I moved out here and was in solitude, I lived on $5 a week in food. I remember I had a small garden, but that was where I got my food. It's just, you don't have to eat much. And if you're not eating for taste, you're not eating for satisfaction, you're not eating for psychological food, the basic needs of the body are very, very simple. In fact, it was made, the Bible talks about the basic diet being berries and nuts and that kind of stuff. In other words, the earth is giving you food, literally, and I think it's needed. I'm not saying you should eat like that. I don't. But basically, the things it lists are the things that the plant, even the plant you don't eat. The plant lives, all right? Trees give off nuts. It's fine. Things give off berries. Okay? It's kind of neat. So the earth itself was made for you to be able to eat. Cheap, free, whatever it is. So food, clothing, and shelter, I know you're going to throw at me there are basic needs. Yes, there are basic needs, okay? But they aren't that hard to satisfy. So what we mean by needs, we say negating nagging needs, and what needs are psychological needs. I'm lonely, I feel scared, no one likes me, I'm self-conscious, I think they're looking at me. Right? You have needs. I need someone to love me because I have a need, I don't feel loved. Right? We got needs, don't we? Okay, good. Very good. Now we're talking about the same thing. Those needs are due to a blockage in your energy flow. Your natural state, I don't care who you think you are, how bad it is, your natural state is ecstasy. That is your natural state without doing anything. Your natural state is that the Shakti, the Chi, is flowing inside, upwards, and it's feeding you. It just feeds you. It's just free of charge. Now it's totally free. It's just whoosh, whoosh. The Bible calls it the rush of holy waters. The yogis call it the rise of the Shakti. And it's there. Why don't I feel it? Because you're blocked. The Colorado River is always flowing, but the Hoover Dam's in the way. If that dam came down, that river would go whoosh, right where it used to go. There's a natural contour of the lands, and the water naturally flowed that way, and nothing wrong with damming it up. We get electricity that way. We do all kinds of things. But the net result is that's what's happening inside of you. I don't care if you're the most depressed person that ever lived and always have been. That's going on inside of you. Sheer ecstasy. Total rushes. Like when you're having an experience that really turns you on, okay? You know, you're hugging a beloved. Sometimes if you eat something really nice, you just close your eyes and and in the hug, your eyes are surely closed. You hear me? Why? Because it's beautiful inside. It pulls you inside. You don't need to look outside to get anything. The joy is inside. That joy is there all the time. It is there all the time, multiplied times 1,000,000. Why don't I experience it? In a sense, you do. Water in a stream that's flowing quickly through the stream, there's no blockages, no hindrances, stays very quiet. There's not eddies and currents and rapids. Go stick a rock in that water. Just one rock. And there's all kinds of currents and eddies and different splashes. That's because it's blocked. The flow of the water is blocked. What you call an emotion and a need is that energy hitting your blockages and shooting out. And it needs to express itself, doesn't it? It needs to do something. It's not comfortable. Needs are not comfortable. You like them because it feels good when they're satisfied. But you don't like them when they're not satisfied, do you? And it doesn't have to be some negative thing. If you fall in love with somebody, what does that mean? It means the energy is flowing well in that person's presence. That's really sweet, isn't it? Nice stuff. You like that. If they leave and go on vacation for 2 years, you're in trouble. But no, I thought you felt love. Yeah, but I need to be with them. You need something outside to be able to open inside. There's the first clue. You don't need something outside to open inside. You never need anything outside to open inside, ever. There is no such thing as a psychological need. There are only blockages which cause that. So that basically, you're living in a state of absolute joy and bliss, but you have blocked that flow of energy. And once it's blocked, you don't feel the energy. You don't feel the Shakti. And whatever area is blocked in, you try to reach out to get things or avoid things so that your energy feels a little bit better. So you don't have to deal with the discomfort of a need. Needs are fun when they're satisfied. How long does that last? Every one of you have had needs, and every one of you at different times in your life has satisfied that need. Just to find out there's a lot more. And even the thing that satisfied the need yesterday, the same exact thing, does not necessarily satisfy the need the next day. And you start to understand that instead of going out there and saying these needs are natural, they are not natural. Needs are not supposed to be there. You're supposed to feel ecstasy. That's nice to know, isn't it? All right? You were made to feel joy. You were made to feel love without anything necessary outside. Now, just to get it out of your mind to start with, that doesn't mean you don't interact with the outside. Here's the difference. A person who's blocked is interacting outside to try to have situations unfold outside that help them feel better inside. Anybody guilty? You try to find situations outside, people, places, things, food, vacations, whatever it is, TV shows, doesn't matter, something outside that when you experience it makes you feel better inside. Okay? You understand? That's admitting you don't feel okay inside. The very fact that that seems so natural, it's not natural. That's how a normal person lives. So they go outside to try to satisfy the needs that are caused by the blockage inside. But they don't know it's caused by the blockage. They think it's natural. They think it's whatever the heck it is. You do it either to get something or to avoid something. I just got divorced. I'm getting along with these people, my husband, my wife. I need to never see them again. I need to move. I need to move. Every time I see the restaurant we used to eat at, every time I see the friends we used to hang out with, it really hurts me so badly. I have a need. That's a different kind of need, isn't it? That's not a need that makes you feel better. It's a need that stops feeling worse. Anybody ever have any of those kind of needs? Why did you get that need? You didn't have the need before. You loved being with your husband or wife, right? But you blocked something inside, and that we'll talk about how that happens and what to do about it. But you blocked something inside. Now anything that reminds you of that thing you blocked inside, you don't feel good. Fair enough? All right? Or if something makes you feel good, forget non-negative. That's non-negative. Something can make you feel positive, make you feel really good. Then you feel the need to have it again. Okay? If you eat in a nice place and you like the restaurant, you want to go back. How do you know there's not another restaurant that's 10 times better than that? No, I like this one. So basically you build these patterns inside based on what you think will make you feel more positive or at least make you feel less negative. Then what do? You go out into the world. Everybody does it. You go out into the world to try to manipulate people, places, and things so that they're the way you want them to be. Who's not doing that? Okay? And you think it's natural. It's the cause of all wars. It's the cause of every problem that exists on this earth. Is that every single person has different blockages. Therefore, they believe that things need to be a certain way outside for them to feel okay and not to feel bad. Everyone's different. Everyone's got different needs. Everyone's different blockages. So no wonder you fight with each other. I don't just mean wars, okay? But there's all kinds of wars, aren't there? Some people don't get along with their kids. They don't get along with their spouse. They don't get along with their boss. They don't get along with their teachers. Why? Because you have needs, and when you took the job, it seemed to satisfy those needs. I got the job I wanted. I got the corner office. The boss is great. It's a woman. I never had a woman boss before. I love it. All right, no glass ceilings around here. That's great. Then all of a sudden, your boss is fired. The job you have, somebody else got the corner office. You're asked to do this or that, and there's a male boss. Oh, no. And all of a sudden, you're not satisfy your needs. You want to get another job. Seems natural to you. It's not. It's all happening because you're blocked. So that's one way to live. I'm filled with needs, and I'm not going to give up. I'm trying as hard as I can to manipulate, I like that word, to manipulate and control everybody, everything around me, so that when I interact with it, it makes me feel better and doesn't make me feel worse. That sound familiar? Okay? There's another way to live. Let's make believe for a moment, and we'll talk about how to. You're not blocked. At least not as blocked. It doesn't have to be 100%. Nothing's 100% in this world. You've cleansed those blockages. Now what happens? The more the blocks are not there, the more the Shakti, the Chi, flows up. It's its natural state. It's always trying to flow up. That's why it's hitting your blockages. It's trying to flow up. If the blockages are not there, it flows up. I'm telling you, literally. Just wave upon wave of joy. The same joy you feel when you hug with your beloved. The same joy you feel when you win the lottery. The same joy you feel when everybody claps when you said something. All right? Or when you walk in a room, everybody gets quiet and puts their head down a little bit. Whoa. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. We need some respect. All right? It turns you on. What turns you on means it makes your Shakti flow. It allows your Shakti to flow because you opened. You're the one who opened. I try to tell you, let's say you had a dream the night before. It's a really very powerful dream, like a real spiritual dream. And in that dream, you walked into a room, and everybody in the room bowed their head quietly, in deep respect. And you walked in, and somebody got up and shot you. You died in the dream. Whoa, that's intense, okay? Now, the very next day, you're asked to give a talk or something in a room. You don't know the people. You walk in, and the exact same thing happens. Everybody bows their head. How you feeling? Scared to death. You hear me? It is not the event. It is whether it opened you or closed you, and that's up to you. You're the one that's carrying the stuff inside that makes it so the outside event either opens you or closes you. Do you understand that? No event here. Somebody comes up to you and hugs you and says, "Oh, I love you so much. I've always loved you so much." Isn't that beautiful? Not if you're standing next to your wife. You see? It's not an event. There's nothing outside that necessarily does things. It's because you have a block inside. You have a preconceived notion that if everybody respects me, if everybody loves me, if I can get married and have kids before I'm 32, the biological clock, all this stuff you got going on in your head. So if it starts to happen, then the outside event matched what you decided would let you be okay, conditional well-being, and then it will open. The key is the openness. The key is not the event. The key is, does the event open you? And if the event opens you, you feel Shakti. If the event closes you, you feel terrible. And you all know what I mean by Shakti. Call it anything you want. Spirit, energy, high, I don't care. There's juice in there. But not always, is it? But you really like it when it is. Okay? So basically, that's what's going on. The Shakti's free to flow when it's not blocked. We just talked about what happens to a normal person. They're blocked, therefore they're out there trying to get situations outside that will help them open so the energy can flow some around the blockages. What happens if you get open enough, meaning clean enough inside, not conditional? You did the work we're going to talk about of cleansing these blockages inside, and the Shakti's flowing inside. What does that mean? You wake up in the morning. How do you wake up in the morning? Most of you scared to death. What did I do wrong yesterday? What can go wrong today? What did I say? Why did I say that? Oh my gosh, should I do... You understand that? Most people are not doing so well when they wake up in the morning because they had to pass through the subconscious to come back to the conscious. And the subconscious, ask Freud, is where all that junk is stored. The blockages are stored in the subconscious, in your heart, in your lower mind. Anyways, how's a yogi? Someone who's cleansed a lot of stuff. They wake up in the morning, like a kid, I'm back. It's Christmas morning, every single morning in a family that's healthy. Okay? And the kid just wakes up, I'm back. I wonder what's going to happen today. All right? And you don't care. It's going to be fun. Why? Something's going to happen. That's what happens when you're not blocked. Something will happen, and I'm having fun. It'll be fun to have the something happen. Because my Shakti is not dependent upon what happens. My Shakti is free. It's flowing inside. And I'm not going to let anything that happens make it stop. Why would I do that? I'm going to make sure that nothing blocks it anymore. I work so hard to get the blockages out. No way I'm putting more in there, right? Plus it's so beautiful while it flows. So I know I'm going to go through my day and it's going to be unbelievable. I just absolutely unbelievable know what happens. How's that? Well, why do you interact? Why do you go to work? Because I feel love and inspiration, and I want to put widgets on an assembly line. I've been doing it for 30 years. It's so much fun. People say, find a job you're passionate about. No, find passion. Stop blocking your passion, and you'll find that every single thing makes you passionate. Every single thing. What if you're that way about everything? What about love? If you're so filled with love, and you are, if you're so filled with love, why would you have a relationship? Because love likes to express itself, doesn't it? Love loves to express itself. Not you're in a relationship to get love, not in a relationship to satisfy your needs that you don't have love. You're in a relationship because it's there and your love is flowing and it's beautiful. But what if it's not there? It will still be flowing. It was flowing before I met you, it's flowing while I meet you, and it will be flowing after I meet you. Can it flow better while you're there and we're really connected? Sure. But don't worry, it'll come back. How would you like to be like that? So you go to work out of passion, expression, everything you're doing is creative, beautiful, art, okay? It's program computers. Are you kidding me? Anyone who programs understands this, or any artist, right? You can't wait to get back there. It's hard to strip away from it. You're trying to fix something or find a bug or write some more code and see how it works. You're just passionate about the thing. You're the luckiest person in the whole world. You have a job that's complete creativity, okay? Everything is that. If you're a hospital worker, it's not, oh my God, people are so sick. It's, oh my God, I can help people. I have this opportunity to help people. But they died. Yeah, but they lived 3 more days because I was with them and I could hold their hand. I held their hand when they died. Oh my God, it's so special, isn't it? But that's how we are. I love your bumper stickers. I'd rather be sailing, right? No. You know, Yogi's bumper sticker says, I'd rather be doing what I'm doing. That's what Be Here Now is. Be Here Now is not an effort. It's if you are whole and complete and don't have needs, there is no else to be. It's not you'd rather be fishing or rather be on vacation or rather be any of that kind of thing. Everything's a vacation. Every moment is the most beautiful moment you ever had. How would you like that? The only reason it is not like that is because you're blocked. So that now the blockages block the energy and you feel a lacking. Maybe you know something about that. You feel a hollowness. You feel a lacking. When? Where? In the areas where you're blocked. Okay? And so basically you get to the point where you understand it is not about getting things a certain way outside. It's about getting things a certain way inside. Because ultimately what's going to happen is the outside is going to come in. It's either going to make it through you or it's not. Why doesn't it make it through you? It's just an event. So what kinds of events are going on all the time? Do you know how enlightened you almost are? 99.9% of every single thing that has ever come in through your senses passed right through. The trees, the cars, the grass, the sound, the clouds, the wind, every single thing, the people on the street of New York. If you figure out what percent just comes in, you experience it, it goes through. But then there's that 0.1%. It's actually much smaller, by the way. All right? That doesn't make it through, does it? That one person walking on the street of New York that looked like your ex. Was that him? In other words, it came in, but it hit something, didn't it? Do things hit stuff inside of you? Can you be talking to somebody and all of a sudden they smirk like your mother used to, or your first wife or husband? How you doing? I don't want to talk about what you can't handle and you basically express terribly outside. I want to talk about, you guys are conscious beings. How often does the energy change? Just a slight little somebody says something, doesn't say something. You thought somebody said something. Had a thought about what happened 3 days ago. Yes or no? All right? It's pretty weird. Okay? Every single one of those things is a blockage. Every single one of those things is because you stored something inside of you that was not comfortable in the past, as tiny as it could be. All right? You had your 7-year-old birthday party and decided to have it outside, and it poured. And every time you hear thunder 30 years later, it goes like that. Doesn't take much, does it? Okay? I see, I watch, I'm in here. Okay, it's neat. Okay? Like, he doesn't like red lights. What do you mean? What's wrong with red lights? You have to stop. All right? I stop. I've never ran a red light in my life, okay? Even in the middle of the night, stop. I do not run red lights. But if I'm driving and enjoying my drive, listening, and it turns yellow, and I'm wondering, it's like this. Just, nothing much. Just a little, yes or no. Yeah, it doesn't be a red light, but you hear what I'm talking about. That's a blockage. That's a blockage. Somebody else loved. They used to stop at red lights and their dad used to hold them and talk and we'd have a wonderful time at the red light. Somebody else's, their mother got upset, how long in the car. So now you got this junk in there. That's what the blockages are. Things you stored inside yourself that didn't make it through. And I don't care how small it is. There are small ones, aren't they? And they mess your day up. Okay? It's like you walk into a kitchen and there's a smell. People are cooking. And it was cooking like your mother used to cook. And you loved your mother, your heart melts. Right? She's been dead for 30 years. Okay? The heart melts, doesn't it? Right? You didn't get along so well with your mother. She used to yell at you, especially when she was cooking. Okay? You walk in there and smell the onions or smell clove or smell something, you get weird. All right, tell me, am I telling the truth or not? Do you live in there? Do you see it? Okay. That is because you stored something inside of you, and now when the world comes in, it hits that. And it either hits something you stored positive or hits something you stored negative, and I guarantee you, you stored 10 to 20 times more negative than positive. I don't always do it. I just take a breath. Do you know why that's like that? You say, why would I store more negative than positive? Let's talk about what positive and negative are to you. You have preconceived notions of what you want to be happening, don't you? The world is going about its business. It doesn't know what you want. The world is the result of science, cause and effect. Every moment in front of you is the result of all the things that made it be that way. If she's sitting over there, we've got 16,000 different things got her here tonight and wearing what she's wearing. And if her blouse or turtleneck seems to look like my sister's, and I ain't along with my sister, it's just, the world is just doing its thing. It has nothing to do with you. So if that happens and it makes me higher or lower, I did that. So you have this stuff inside of preconceived notions based on your past. The outside is just passing by. It's just passing through. Therefore, what is the probability that it's going to be what you want? What is the probability that those moments unfolding in front of you, which pretty much have nothing to do with you, they're just moments that are sum total of all of life, put them together from the beginning of time, what's the probability they will be what you want? Extremely slim. It's neat when they are. Oh my God, they're serving my favorite meal. I didn't even think. How did they know? That's neat. That's wonderful. All right. The problem is that's where your positive ones come from. It just happened to match. Oh my God, it's beautiful. All right. I can't believe you're wearing that blouse. I was like, oh my God, my sister used to wear it. It must be divine intervention. God. Oh, that's wonderful. Nothing wrong with that. All right. There's your positive ones. What if it's not what I want it to be, which is 99.999% of the time? You store as negative. Why do I have to catch this light? Why is the driver in front of me driving so slow? I'm in such a rush. Every single thing that doesn't match what you want it to be creates a disturbance inside. So of course there's way more disturbances than there are positive things. Does everyone understand now? It's not that the world is more negative or positive. It's neither. You're doing it. Okay? It's just the world is what it is. It unfolds, and that's what it is. Good, bad, right, wrong, I don't know, better, worse. It's just doing its thing, okay? You have preconceived notions of what you want it to be. It's not going to be what you want. Some people ask me, why can't I ever get what I want? Why can't things be the way I want them to be? They're not supposed to be. They're supposed to be the way they are. If you sit there and say, well, why does it have to rain on my birthday? That seems so natural. Why does it have to rain on my birthday? Go to the University of Florida, go to the meteorology department, and start studying meteorology to find out it doesn't know it's raining on your birthday. Not one single drop of rain knows it's... See? That's why there's more negative. Because you did it. You got this tiny little sliver of what's okay with you. And of course it's not going to be that. It's going to be what it is. It's just unfolding naturally. And you take that as negative. And therefore, you have more negative things stored inside than the very few times it did match. I don't always go into that detail. Do you understand that? So it's not true that it's negative. You made it negative. Here, we're going on a date. God, I hope he takes me to this movie or that. God, I hope he doesn't think he's going to take me to a movie. I don't want to go for a movie. And you got all this stuff on a blind date. What he looks like, what she looks like, what's this, what they're going to be wearing, what they're like, what kind of perfume or cologne. Yes, I like cologne. You got all this stuff going on. What is the probability that any of that stuff's going to happen? You just ruined the date before you went out on it. I once told you, you're not trying to have a relationship with another person. You're trying to have a relationship with yourself. You're trying to project what you want onto the other person and saying, how could you do that? I would have never done that. I like this one. I never would have thought you would have said that to me. That's ridiculous. You're not me. You have no idea what's going on. And you say, I can't believe you did that. Now, do you see it? So there's a lot of negative in there, and a lot of times it didn't feel so right, like almost all the time. Okay? And then there's a few times it is. So now we got these blocks in there, because the world that came in didn't match our preconceived notions. Didn't match. But why do we have preconceived notions? Because the Shakti is not flowing right. We want it to. I'm tying it all together. We want it to, and we have the notion, when before did it flow better? I want it to happen again. And you start judging everything, and now nothing's going to. It's just, do you see what a mess it is? It's a mess, okay? If you live that life, you're in trouble. You know who said this? I don't have to say this. Buddha said this. Buddha's first noble truth is shocking. You've heard it, but I don't think you pay attention to it. Buddha's first noble truth is all of life is suffering. Now there's a negative view. How could he say that? He was an enlightened being. How could he say all life is suffering? Because it is. Everybody's suffering. Rich, poor, sick, healthy. If you're sick, you're suffering. If you're healthy, you're afraid you'll get sick. And it's just everything. Married, not married, it doesn't matter. Everybody's having trouble, aren't they? They're all busy trying to make it be the way they want. Why? Because they're not okay. And he defined that as suffering, and he's right. Compared to your natural state, which is nirvana, ecstasy, total well-being, well, you're right here and married and working. No, not about going off to a cave somewhere. You are a great being, and all that joy is inside of you. So if instead you're feeling insecurity and self-consciousness and embarrassment and need, you're suffering. So that's pretty deep truth, isn't it? All life is suffering. Well, the second one's even deeper. It just blows me away. 500 BC, this guy leaves home. He was a prince. He left home. He had a wife and children. He left home to find out the cause of suffering. You know what? He found it. That is unbelievable. And when he came back, after saying all life is suffering, he said, and I have found that. I found the cause of suffering. And the monks that didn't go with him, that were doing traditional meditating, doing all that kind of stuff, they said, well, we know the cause of suffering: old age, sickness, greed, hatred, death. There's all kinds of causes of suffering. He said, no. It's one cause of all suffering. I wish I never looked at it that way. He literally came back and said, there's one cause of all suffering. It is the only cause of suffering. There's no suffering that happens other than this cause. Wow, how would you like to know that one? And by the way, he was right. That's what blows me away. The more I grow, it's like, God, look at that. And it's so simple. One sentence. All life is suffering. The cause of suffering is preference. Desire, preference, same thing. Was it preference or desire? Was it desire or preference? Many of the Zen patriarchs use the word preference because what you think of as a desire, but literally they translate it as the cause of suffering is desire. You think of desire as lust, greed, extremism. No, he didn't say that. He said the cause of suffering is any desire, any preference. Any way you want it to be, you will suffer. If you don't want to die, you will suffer for sure. If you don't want to get old, you will suffer. If you're afraid of not being rich, you will suffer. Any preconceived notion that you have about how you want it to be, when the world comes in, you will suffer. Oh boy, that's a little strong, isn't it? Okay, now don't say there's nothing wrong. No, just listen to it. Okay, he's right, isn't he? If something happens and you lose your hand, and you don't have a preference to have one, that's hard to believe, but you don't, you're fine. Okay? If you cut your fingernail a little too much and the little cuticle hurts, you're suffering. It's like anything you can tell me about. If you don't have a preference about it, you're fine. If you have a preference about it, no matter how strong or how weak or how little, when it comes in, it will hit that preference and cause you to get weird. Who's willing to honor the truth? So the first noble truth of Buddha was all life is suffering. The second one, the cause of all suffering is preference. The third one is like mind-blowing. To end suffering, stop it. To end suffering, end preference. And that's a really deep one. And that's part of what we're going to talk about in terms of needs, because we're right there. The concept of ending preference, you don't even know how to think about it. You have some preferences? Anybody got any preferences? You have so many preferences. I can't even talk about it. You have more preferences than there are stars in the sky. I prefer that I don't burp in public. I prefer that you don't burp in public. I prefer that my baby burps when I pat it on the back, in public or otherwise. You're filled with preferences. It's unbelievable. That's all there is. There's all these preferences. All right? That causes need. If you prefer something, then you need it to be that way. I'm going to tie it together to talk with Buddha. You see that? Right? That's why you feel the needs. Because you have a preference to think, I'm lonely. What does that mean? You're blocked. I have a preference to find somebody. I have a preference not to feel even this, your feelings. A great being. Right? I'll do it this way. I don't want to be my words. There's a saying from the third Zen patriarch called A Treatise on Faith Mind. It's a tiny little book. Ram Dass in the 70s and 80s used to give it out. It's Zen, very, very deep. And the first line is the most important line that was ever written in all spirituality. The great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. That's all you need to know, all right? Is the great way. What's the great way? Full enlightenment, total liberation, the highest state that could ever exist, nirvana and beyond. Christ's heaven is within you, is not difficult for those who have no preferences. Of course not. If you can live in this world and let it unfold the way it is, Zen teaches flowers are red, water's blue, grass is green. That's what they're telling you with that. I'm sure you've heard that before. Flowers are red, water's blue, grass is green. So what? Yes, so what? That's right. But if you want flowers to be blue and the grass to be red, you suffer every time you see a flower, every time you see grass. Okay? So the great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. That's a true statement. So what would happen is the world would unfold. You'd wake up in the morning, like I told you, and it would be what it is. It doesn't mean you don't deal with it. You're fine, and it's unfolding in front of you. Come on, let's dance. You interact with it. How? However it's asking you to. If the boss comes to you and says, oh, I don't want you doing that anymore, do this. If you don't have preferences, you say, oh boy, I get to do that? About everything. Oh boy, it's raining on my birthday. We get to be inside and do some silly little things. What are we going to do? I don't care. I don't know. The great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. It's hard, and we don't even want to think about it, because we're all about satisfying our preferences. Because our preferences create need. What? The need to satisfy them. And the preferences are caused because we're not okay. Now let's talk about, all right, we'll go there. What do you mean, have no preferences? How do you have no preferences? All right, ready. You're in the arms of the beloved, the most beloved you ever had, right? And they're holding you in the most beloved way that ever was. And I'm going to knock on the door. Wants a pizza? And the answer is, leave me alone. If I even hear you, I'm just so filled with love and joy. I don't hear nothing. I'm just like, wow. You hear me? You have no preferences. Why? Because you're whole. Because you're fulfilled. Because you feel the Shakti flowing. All your preferences are about is, how do I get it flowing? Here's my preference. I need to meet this person. I need to have this. I hope she's wearing this. Oh my God, I dropped some ketchup on my pants. I have to go back to her. Oh, you have a preference not to drop ketchup on your pants? Give me a break. They're my favorite one, right? Because you're all vegetarians. You, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, after you had lunch at noon, you go into the bathroom, you comb your hair, and there's a piece of spinach right in the front of your tooth. Oh my God, how long was that there? And you start trying to think about, who did I talk to? Did I smile? Did I smile in front of the boss? Oh my God, right? In other words, you have a preference not to have a piece of spinach in your tooth, because you have a preference not to be embarrassed. You have a preference. You understand that? You're so thick with preferences, it's not even discussable. Imagine if it wasn't like that. How would you like to live not like that? How would you like to live? You look in the mirror, there's a piece of spit, and you take it out, and that's that. That's the end of it. There's no repercussions. There's no embarrassment. There's no thinking about anything. It doesn't make any difference because you don't prefer that they like you. You don't prefer that they think that you're not the kind of person that has spinach in your teeth. You couldn't care less. Why? Because you're filled with love. You're filled with joy. It's hilarious. How would you like to live like that? That's what happens when the blockages are gone. So when they talk about the great ways not difficult, those who have no preferences, the only way you have no preferences is when you have no blockages. Because blockages block your energy, you don't feel whole, and therefore you're going to prefer that something will happen that will make you feel better. It's all based on blockages. If you are blocked, you're not going to feel whole. And if you don't feel whole, you're going to feel preferences and needs and desires and hopes and dreams and concepts and views and opinions, aren't you? Everyone based on the fact that you're not okay. What are your hopes? A great being doesn't have any. Why would they have any? When you're sitting there holding your beloved, what do you hope happens? What I hope happens is what's happening. There are no hopes. There are no dreams. There are no concepts, no views, no opinions, no preferences. Not in the deep state. You're whole. Well, how do you interact with the world? You're a blessing to this world because you're not in it for you. You're a giver, not because you think you're a giver, but because you don't need anything. If you don't need anything, it just flows naturally. You're serving. You serve. Why would you not? If I don't need anything, why would I not try to help what's in front of me? It's a natural thing. So the great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. The only way to have no preferences is to have no blockages. We're working the whole thing through where I started you. If you are blocked, the Shakti is not going to flow past the blockage. And you're going to feel a hollow spot. And you're going to try to think of things that can happen that will make you feel better about your hollow spot. Okay? Otherwise, the Shakti is flowing fine, and you don't even think about it. I showed you the example. How many times have you driven by a white line on the road? 100 billion zillion times. Some of them are dashed, some of them are double, some are single, some are yellow, some are white. Have you noticed? Sure, you notice. Does it do anything to you? Do you get weird when they're yellow or white? No, they're just lines in a road because you have nothing going about them. But I told you a story the other day that there's this person, you know how they paint the lines. You see, the truck drives and they got this thing back here and the guy's pulling the lever to drop that stuff down, right? And sometimes it drips. Ever seen any drips on the line? Okay, it'll do that. It didn't close it properly, whatever it is, or it's clogged. You just see a little drip mark, right? Well, this guy got fired because of how many drip. Someone who goes behind sees how many drip marks there are, right? And he got fired 10 years ago. I guarantee you right now, every white line he looks at, he looks totally different than you. And if he sees ones that are, oh my God, never did it that bad, I wonder if he got fired. Okay? That's a blockage. So because you stored this experience inside of you as a negative, it's still there, isn't it? And things outside stimulate it. So now you need to do something to compensate for that. Either you have to become the best line painter in the world, or you have to move to a country where there are no lines. And so basically, I hope you hear me. Fill in the blanks, okay? The great way is not difficult, those who have no preferences. But don't think, somebody once asked me, how do you have no preferences? That doesn't even make sense. How about I get rid of my preferences? That's suppression. No, you don't get rid of your preferences. Thank God. You do not get rid of your preferences. You get rid of the cause of your preferences. That's a whole different ballgame. If there's like rotting food in your house and there's all these roaches and flies and maggots going on there, please don't fight each one. You get rid of the rotten food, it's gone over time. Buddhists say work at the root. That's what that means. So you don't get rid of your preferences. Don't worry about it. There's a cause of your preferences. I've been telling you this entire talk. Because you are blocked, you do not feel whole. Therefore, you try to think of experiences you had in the past that made you feel better, experiences in the past that make you feel worse. You try to create one, avoid the other. Now you have preferences. They are because of your blockages. Every single preference you have is because of the blockages you have. So I'm not going to sit there and swat at the flies, which is what you're doing with your preferences. You mean I'm not allowed to do this, not allowed to do that? No, it's not about that. It's about understanding that blockages are the cause of that. That's why you feel so much urge for something or fear against something, because you're blocked. You can be just as whole as an enlightened being, as a full being, if you get rid of your blockages. So all of a sudden the purpose of your life changes dramatically. Instead of the purpose of your life is to satisfy your blockages, the purpose of your life is to get rid of your blockages. Guess what? One doesn't work and one does. No one has ever satisfied their blockages, ever. You can satisfy one little one for a while, but there's no thing that you got what you wanted. There was never anything else. And so go there and work with each individual preference. But I really wanted you to say it like this. I said I love you, but you said, yeah, I love you. God, I love you so much. My heart melts just to be with you. I love you so much. Yeah, I love you too. No, that's not okay. Oh, now we're going to watch every intonation and every little thing. You are that way, aren't you? So it's like you catch on about spirituality. Spirituality is not as difficult as you might think it is. You just are working at the wrong level. If you sit there and have a bush that's too wide and too tall and you keep cutting it, right, it gets bigger. When you say that, you have to learn about things. So if you run out there to satisfy your desires, your preferences, right, you're going to just have more. All right. Have any of you ever had a relationship? Ha ha ha. All right. Have any of you ever found out that the other person wasn't exactly what you thought they were? Really? Wow. Thanks. Oh, no, go keep that in mind, all right? It's like, of course not. How could they possibly be the way you think they are? You know, how you think they are, the way you want them to be. And for a while, it works. Because you keep projecting yourself onto them, and they like you, and they want to be with you, so they keep trying to be the way you want them to be. But it can't possibly work because they're the way they are. And you know, I don't, it sounds so difficult. I don't want to talk. I'm glad I'm old. It seems like a really hard thing to get to work, okay? That's what it looks like to try to satisfy your preferences. It's a bear, isn't it? And that's just the one preference. What about your kids? What about the boss? And what about the car? And what about finance? What about what you look like as you get older? You don't stand a chance. You're barking up the wrong tree. It's crazy. So you wake up at some point, and I hope this is the point, where you say, it's crazy, it's absurd for me to look out into the world, which is going about its business, which is way bigger than me. It's really big. Everything out there has a history, doesn't it? And it's not your history. I said it the other day. Ready? Your preferences are the sum of your learned experiences. That's what psychology says. Your psyche is the sum of your learned experiences. All your preferences, your hopes, your dreams, your conscience, your views, they're the sum of your learned experiences. Okay? The moment unfolding in front of you is not the sum of your learned experiences. It's the sum of its learned experiences. Go talk to physics. It's called cause and effect. If this person comes and talks to you in front of you and their father just died and they just heard the news, they heard the phone call, they are going to be very different than the person who just met the love of their life before they met you. You don't know that person. How dare you say, yeah, I met him, he was a real drag. I met him, oh, he was filled with light. You don't know anything. So the sum of your learned experiences has nothing to do with the moment in front of you, which is the sum of its learned experiences. I'm not talking about the person is the sum of learned experiences. The fact that there's a car accident, the fact that somebody ran the light, the fact that it's leaking, the fact that anything that's happening has history, doesn't it? Why is my house leaking? Well, but the roofer had one extra nail and didn't put it in right 3 years ago, 40 years ago. Every single thing has history. Things are the way they are. Psychologically, physically, because of the history that made them be that way. Is it not true that every single thing is the way it is because of everything that made it be that way? How's that for a nice statement? Every single thing is the way it is because of all the things that made it be that way. Everything has history. It's not your history. So the sum of your learned experiences have nothing to do with the sum of the world in front of your learned experiences. They're not going to match. So the concept that it's supposed to be that way, I can't even fathom it. I just don't understand. How in the world do you think the moments unfolding in front of you are supposed to match your history? Well, so now you have a choice. Keep beating your head against the wall, driving yourself crazy by trying to manipulate and control every single thing that's unfolding in front of you and going to unfold in front of you. And I'll give you the one of the worst. I know I'm talking too much here. Ready? You're not okay with what already unfolded in front of you. You wish it hadn't happened. It bothers you. You don't want it to happen. So if you're going to be bothered what already happened, which you can't ever change, if you're bothered what is happening, which at the moment you can't, it's happening. There it is. There's a sum of learned experiences. And if you're going to be bothered what might happen, now you're a busy person. Can you imagine how many things you could think might happen that you have to make sure don't happen? And how many things happen in the past that are bothering you because they happen? No wonder Buddha said all of his suffering. All right? So go out there and fix all those things. Fix the past.
what mommy and daddy did. They're both dead by now. But mommy and daddy did, and this happened, and that happened. Did my blankie way too soon? How can you fix that? You're 33 years old. You go to a psychiatrist. You figure, oh, the blankie thing again. Right? How are you going to fix that? You can't fix that, okay? Only by letting go. You cannot satisfy your needs. You can momentarily do something that makes you feel better, but the needs are caused by your blockages. And there's a lot of that stuff, and the world's not going to fold the way you want, past, present, or future. Right. So your choice is continue doing that. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not wrong. It's not that you're going to go to hell. You'll just be in hell right now. So that's what it means to live a life of trying to satisfy your blockages, trying to satisfy your needs, trying to get everything to be the way you need it to be so you feel better, not worse. Okay? That's that one life. The other life is very, very different. It's, I understand. These blockages that I stored inside of me are causing me not to feel whole. Therefore, I have needs because I don't feel whole. Okay? What if I, instead of doing all that with everybody and everything in the whole world all the time, worked on myself and got rid of these blockages? What if I got rid of the blockages? Do I have to have blockages? No, you don't have to have blockages. I told you, blocks about the white lines. That other guy did, but he didn't have to. He could. It was very evolved. Turns out he was meditating. He was doing TM for many, many years. And this happened. And listen, the machine was putting down little blots, and I tried. And he gets called in, and he gets fired. And he says, okay. I guess it wasn't meant to be. The machine put down little clogs, right? It's fine. I don't blame him. Of course, I'd fire me too, right? And he's fine. Now he can look at white lines for the rest of his life and not be bothered. You don't have to store that stuff inside. Let's get that straight. Now we're at the real work where the rubber hits the wall. But isn't it natural that stuff that doesn't feel good gets stuck inside? No, it is not natural. Period. There is nothing solid in there. Nothing. Everything comes in, passes right through. But I saw a rattlesnake and it was scary. Did it stay in front of you the rest of your life? No. It was just 10 seconds. It crawled away. Okay? While it's there, it's scary. When it's gone, it's gone. Period. But don't I have to know that rattlesnakes are scary? Nobody said you don't have a memory. There's a difference between storing something as a fact and storing something as a samskara, as a blockage, as a suppression that keeps coming back. Your computer has memory, doesn't it? Computers have memory. They store things, right? Do they come back and haunt you for the rest of your life? That's the difference. Because you didn't let it go through, now it's not just a memory, it's a blockage. You block the energy. That's what a blockage is. I block the energy of the event. I pushed it away with my will, the power of will. You have will in there. You can do things in there, can't you? You pushed it away, and you push that away. That's a blockage. All night I'm talking about blockages. Now I understand what they are. They're the things that you couldn't handle when they happen. You didn't want to experience them, so you used your will, your inner power, to push them away. Where do you think they went? Freud had a good handle on it. Freud was not a yogi. I like Sigmund a lot. He got a lot right. It's a very brilliant thing to bring up this concept of suppression and repression and what effect it has, okay? Who's doing the suppression, Sigmund? Somebody's pushing it down there. Who? No, that's not discussed. Somebody's in there pushing that thing away, aren't they? You do know you push things away, don't you? Okay? That's the only thing solid in there is your will. That's what stops it from going through. You. Your consciousness, your being, your inner being is not evolved enough to let this pass through. The person painting the white line wasn't evolved enough to get fired, and he's always complaining and telling everyone for 30 years, I was doing this job, I was doing so well. It was the machine that was broken. They don't know what you're talking about, but you keep talking about it, right? Because you couldn't handle it. Somebody else doesn't even think about it ever again. They were mature enough, high enough, evolved enough, open enough, I don't care what you want to call it, to where it came in and it passed through. There, the gray was not difficult, those have no preferences. That person who let it pass through doesn't have any preferences about it. They have no stuff. But when you push it down there, it will be down there. And not only will you have stuff about it, but the Shakti is going to hit it and bring it up. You'll see a billboard, somebody will say something. You go to a museum with your beloved, this guy with a line painter, right? Goes to a museum with his new girlfriend, right? And she's in there and says, oh, look how well the lines are painted in the Met. And you start getting weird. We're weird, aren't we? And everyone is weird in a different way. That makes it not so much fun to have 8.3 billion of us running around weird as could be. So basically, you look at it and you say, I don't want this stuff inside of me. It's an entire new purpose of your life. The purpose of your life before was, okay, it's inside of me. You don't even think inside of you. It's who I am. I don't like white lines. I don't like this kind of person. Some of your learned experiences, stuff that you suppress. Now you're out there trying to make the world unfold in a way that you're okay with. Good luck. The other is to say, I don't want this stuff inside of me. I would love to feel joy and pure energy pouring up inside. Literally, Christ said, man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that leaveth the mouth of God. In other words, you don't just get high off of things that come in from the outside. That's what bread alone means. But by every word, the word, it's called the word spirit, by every word that leaveth the mouth of the Father. There's this Shakti flowing in there. Well, yogis call it Shakti. All right? There's this chi, Shakti flowing in there. You live off of that, but not if it's being blocked. So now what do? Now you catch on. There's another meaning of your life. You wake up in the morning, not scared, not this, excited. Oh boy, first thing for today, I ain't putting no more in there. What's the purpose of letting go of the ones that are in there? You can put more in there. You're not gaining anything. So your first task is very simple. You wake up in the morning, say, I'm not putting any more in there. I want more in there. I don't want to wake up tomorrow and have another one in there about what happened today. Do you? No. I want to handle what happened today. And two things will happen if you do that. One, you will not be screwed up tomorrow because you handle what happened today. And two, you would have learned how to handle things. I tell you, it's like playing tennis or practicing the piano. Of course you don't know how to play tennis. You never touched a racket before. Of course you don't know how to play the piano. You never sat down there before. You don't sit down and play Beethoven. You don't play Borg or the Williams sisters. You practice, don't you? You practice. That's what you're doing. When you wake up in the morning, say, I'm not going to put more down there. You're practicing not putting more down there. You will not do it very well, I guarantee you. Okay? In fact, you're not going to look back. You won't like this talk very much because it makes you conscious. You want to be mindful. Be mindful of that garbage in there. And you're going to see it's not so easy to not put stuff down there, isn't it? Now, that doesn't mean stuff doesn't happen. Listen to the difference. It doesn't mean stuff doesn't happen that causes the weirdness. It means you're able to handle the weirdness so you don't push it away. Whoa, that's what it means? Oh my God. You're not trying to make it not happen. It's unfolding. People are saying things, doing things. So you're seeing things. It comes in, you start to feel that weirdness. Well, I don't want to push it away because it'll be there tomorrow. What do? Relax. It's the whole teaching. R&R. Here's some R&R. Relax and release. Well, what do you mean relax? It doesn't feel good. I know, relax. No, I can't relax when it doesn't feel good. Yes, you can. When you're massaging, ever get a massage? You're massaging, they hit a spot that hurts. Do you get up and punch them in the mouth? Do you get up and run out? Oh, my money back? You know what you do? I know, I've seen you, right? Oh, right there. Oh my God, right there. More. Oh, no. Right there. You got it. Oh, that's it. Because no pain, no gain. You notice the reason you feel pain there is because there's something wrong there. And that's why you're getting a massage. If you felt perfectly fine, you're wasting your money with a massage. But it's the same thing here. It's exactly the same. If it's not feeling good, just because somebody said something or didn't say something, or you walk by a group of your friends, good friends, best friends, they're talking together, they don't even notice you're walking by. Here's a mess for a week. So, let's see if I talk to them next time. You can't handle anything, can you? When I'm not talking about handle it, you get weird. I mean, outside. You're weird inside. I want to talk at the real level what's happening. Relax. Say, I can handle this. That's how you do it. How do I deal with it? I can handle this. Relax and release. Now you understand relax and release, don't you? Relax and release the energy that you would have blocked. Then what happens is every single day there's less in there because you didn't put more in from the day before. And every day you learned how to relax and release. And now what's going to happen is something bigger is going to happen. Something come up from the past or something happened that hit some stuff that you would have freaked out before. And all of a sudden, you know how to deal with that. How? Relax and release. Relax and release. And all of a sudden, the stuff from the past that has no reason to be down there, it's not happening anymore. There's just no reason. It's crazy. It's also causing disturbance. All right? Instead of going out there trying to placate it, compensate for it, you let it go. Ooh. But then don't do the big ones yet, because you can't. Just naturally deal with the daily. Then if something comes up, relax and release. And you're going to find out that you can do this. Every one of you can do this. You've never done it before. People write me from all over the world. I didn't even know you could do this. I didn't know I could do this. My life has changed. Of course your life has changed. Of course your life has changed. Your husband came home. He had a bad day. He just stormed into the house, went in the bedroom, slammed the door. Okay? You didn't take it personal. Well, you did take it personal. Something came up inside of you. You relaxed and released. Okay, I don't want to be like this. Relax and release. Now the husband comes out. You can have a nice evening. You wouldn't have had a nice evening before. Haven't you dared do that again? Everything changes. Everything changes when you change. So you learn to let go. That's what that's called. Learn to let go. I got right down. You all understand it now, don't you? Okay? Why can't you do this? Because you don't want to. You're not ready to. You're too addicted to trying to get what you want and don't understand this is higher than that. Eventually, if you keep letting go, you'll start feeling the Shakti for no reason. Just all of a sudden, if you're doing nothing, and all of a sudden it's high in there. Why? Because it's not blocked. And the more you let go, then eventually, and I'll close down, eventually it's enough flowing in there enough to where you say, this is the nicest thing I've ever experienced in my whole life. And it doesn't cost any money, including having to be the way somebody else wants me to be, including selling out. And we do everything, don't we, to try and get acceptance and love, all right? So basically now I'm feeling it. All right, now you've reached a point of no return. Now something bigger comes up, and you have to ask yourself, it's all inside of you. You ask yourself, am I willing to close because of this? And you eventually reach the point where you say to yourself, I will never close again. I don't care what it is. I will never close again, period. Why would I give this up for something that's bothering me? All right? And then you start understanding. The big stuff comes up. You start letting that big stuff go. Now it's not trickles of energy. Now it's torrents. More and more. Just more and more. Higher and higher, higher and higher. And eventually it gets so high that it pulls you into it. Just like now, the down pulls you into it. Your needs, etc. This upward flow. You can't stay down. It starts pulling. It's called the upward ascent. It starts pulling you up into. You don't do anything. Now you let go. But that's what Christ meant by die to be reborn. Now that letting go is letting go of your sense of individuality, your sense of who you are. You flood into the Shakti. You fall into that. And that's where the great ones went. It was like a river fall into the ocean. But I was a river, but now you're the ocean. Mayor Baba said, fully enlightened being, high as they come. My consciousness was a drop, and he used to stare at me. When that drop fell into the ocean of consciousness, find it. Go find a drop of water once you drop it into the ocean. It does what you call merge. That's what yoga means. Merge, union, oneness with God. That's what Christ meant. Die to be reborn. You die of this personal garbage that you're doing to fall back into God. I mean, he literally said, my Father and I are one. Now you understand. It's true. And you're all that. All right. So I started with need, and we ended up with the great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. Just do that naturally by letting go. Just keep letting go, and you'll see they fall off. Chakra.